past couple of years, DC has actually been dipping its toe a lot more into the medium of manga, with like Superman Meshi, the food-based Superman manga, the Joker manga that apparently he turned Batman into a child and is doing a whole bunch of shenanigans. There is currently running the Batman Justice Buster, which I'm planning on reading for a separate video, but there was one in 2019 that I picked up and read called Batman and the Justice League, and this manga was actually very entertaining and it stuck with me for a while. Not only is the art style really fun and engaging, but it actually had a pretty decent story that I was starting to get invested in, but I never finished it, much like many others who have picked up this manga in the past. But before we go on and talk about it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Also, if you like Batman and the Justice League and just comic books, go and check out my second channel, GW Comics. Link will be in the description and the title card, as well as the new collaboration feature that I'm putting for this video to show an instant way to visit my channel if you haven't subscribed to this channel but also want to subscribe to that one. I cover comic books on that channel. Right now it's mainly DC focused and I have a lot of stuff I want to talk about on there. It's a passion project and I would very much appreciate it if you guys go and check it out. It's almost at 1,000 subscribers at the point of me recording this video, and I would really like to get it there before the end of the year. But with that out of the way, let's talk about this Batman Justice League manga and why I ended up kind of liking it and why I never finished it. So the title of the manga is Batman and the Justice League. With that title, not only is Batman one of the title characters and now one of the MCs of this book, but it heavily utilizes the Justice League in its overall plot. But the manga follows our actual main character, Ryu Aramiya, who comes to Gotham seeking answers about his missing scientist parents after a power plant explosion, and he gets himself mixed up in Batman's whole world and getting mixed up in the plot that is being set up by Lex Luthor and the Joker. This whole plot revolves around the ley lines of Earth. This is a very supernatural, magical based story in this new separate universe of DC. Obviously, since it's a manga and its own story, it is separate in its own universe as an Elseworlds title for DC. And once Batman and Rui meet up and then encounter Lex Luthor and the Joker's entire plot to utilize the ley lines for their own schemes, he then asks for the help of the Justice League, like with Superman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman, later on the Flash and Green Lantern, as eventually they fight Luthor, Joker, and other supervillains like Ocean Master, Sinestro, and the Reverse Flash going forward. It is basically the Injustice League or the Legion of Doom versus the Justice League. This all sets off with the fact that Rui comes to Gotham to find clues in the mysterious disappearance of his parents, thinking that maybe Bruce Wayne or someone there will have some sort of connection or idea of what happened to them with the power plant that mysteriously exploded. But Rui has some very strong connections to these ley lines and having the ability to either read them or utilize their power. And as Batman meets up with the kid and they begin to see what's going on, trying to figure out the mysteries of these ley lines and why Lex and Joker especially want to utilize them, multitudes of supervillains start to basically attack. The main one is Ocean Master attacking with an amped up power boost from the ley lines, and we get an amazing battle between Ocean Master and Aquaman later on, with Superman and Wonder Woman joining in the fray. It is an incredible fight and it is very well drawn and executed with a very well done sense of impact with each clash. Now, I didn't mention this at the beginning, which I probably should have, because that's kind of my whole deal. The one writing and illustrating this manga is actually Shiori Teshirogi. Now, if you don't know who she is, she's actually previously the illustrator of the Saint Seiya manga series The Lost Canvas, which was adapted into an anime a couple of years ago as well. And you can tell the art style is very reminiscent of Saint Seiya. My only criticism at the beginning is that Superman's head looks super weird and kind of tiny, but it gets evened out very quick. Her art style is honestly really incredible, and this kind of makes me also want to go read the Saint Seiya Lost Canvas manga. I still haven't read the original Saint Seiya manga. That's something I gotta do eventually. But the art style I've always liked, and this manga utilizes it very well. Also, Joker looks like a straight up JoJo's villain with this art style. Not a complaint, by the way. Something I actually kind of like, but also something I wasn't expecting. She made Joker look handsome. That's something I wasn't expecting. I'm sure there are subset of readers that kind of like this turn of events, but either way, I was not expecting to enjoy this manga story very well. I wouldn't say it's the greatest thing ever. It is a short series, but it gives enough for the baseline story and setup and mystery for you to want more. And what makes this interesting for this Elseworld story is that this actually takes place in a post-death in the family world. This universe is focusing on a Batman shortly after, or perhaps roughly a year after, the death of Jason Todd. That happened here as well. He was not revived and turned into Red Hood yet, and he doesn't have another Robin. And that is an interesting way to go about things, as this actually gives us a lot of focus on Batman and him still reeling from the guilt and responsibility of him believing that he could have stopped what happened to Jason, and how that is still weighing on his conscience and how he does his work as Batman. That's something that even in mainline Batman comics to an extent is still utilized, because Jason's death is a very pivotal event in Batman comics to the point where it shapes how he's trained to Tim Drake, and later on to an extent Damian when he takes him on, and also with a lot of future interactions with Jason when he becomes Red Hood and is revived. It is a very, and I mean very important aspect of Batman's character and his history, and going into a world where this is post that, though he doesn't immediately get another Robin and is still reeling with that loss and trying to heal from it with the Justice League behind him and with Alfred, but still not fully coming to terms with it, and him still having to fight the frickin' Joker and fight back those dark urges to want to kind of get revenge on him in some brief instances in this series from what I could see. She knows what she's doing with these characters, as even though I haven't read her work, she's doing a good job of characterizing all of the members of the Justice League with the little screen time that they do in fact have. Now Rui as the MC, I don't have too much to say about. I mean, he's the MC, I should have a lot to say about him, but I really don't. A part of his role with his like whole tie-in with Batman is kind of seemingly acting like a bit of a foil to in the missing hole of a Robin in Batman's whole world, basically taking that section of his life with how Batman's trying to be responsible with the kid, make sure he doesn't get in trouble, while also trying to help him through everything that's going on right now, while still trying to be kind of distant. I kind of like Rui in terms of how he bounces off of Batman, not so much for Rui himself, but that could just be a myth. But granted, the mystery of his connection to the ley lines and his whole family being missing and how that connects to the ley lines in and of themselves is something that did keep me intrigued and want me staying around to read more about. However, despite me liking the action, the story is intriguing enough and does a good job at characterizing the Justice League members and their personalities, especially Batman in general, since he is the literal title character at the front and it's Batman and the Justice League. I said I never finished it. Now why is that? Well, only 3 volumes are out of apparently 4. Only 3 of them are out in English, and the 4th one I believe is out in French, I think? I don't know the language that it was released in. I know in Japan it's released, but there haven't been any like fan translations or scans of this manga, and so it's technically completed. It aired throughout 2019. It's a 4-volume manga. I believe it was probably released only in volume format, so that probably explains why. But even still, this story ends off on one hell of a cliffhanger. Sinestro Reverse Flash attack Wayne Manor to fight off Green Lantern trying to protect the mansion, all while Batman is trying to go and help with Rui's connection and something with his mother into the ley lines, and Rui being in like the realm of the ley lines and leaving off with that. It is one hell of a cliffhanger for English readers, and it kind of sucks because not only was I excited for the fights we were gonna see, because we only got to see a little bit of Hal Jordan Green Lantern, and we don't really see anything of Barry Allen's Flash. We see Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, and Aquaman throughout the first 2 volumes, and the whole Ocean Master thing is concluded relatively early in the story, around volume 2. But even then, it sucks with that cliffhanger, because it really feels like we're building up to some big reveals for everything going on with the lore behind the ley lines and Rui's family, and then we're just blueballed for just English speakers only, and it really freaking sucks, because this was a very fun read overall, and the mangaka knows what she's doing in terms of good art direction, panel work, and, well, action sequences as well. I mean, you'd expect nothing less from someone that drew an entire Saint Seiya manga, and it being very well done to the point where it had a anime adaptation. I believe it's 1 or 2 seasons. Either way, her art style is great, and she did a good job at presenting the story. It's not mind-blowing, it's not the greatest DC Elseworlds story ever told, it's not even the best DC manga that I have read. I've only read 2, but even still, I think that this was a very fun manga that I do think you should give a shot. But I would say don't read it if you don't feel like getting blueballed at the very end of volume 3 with the promise of more, but being unable to read it unless you can find it in a different language somewhere and try and Google translate it in crappy English translations unless you already speak the language or know someone that speaks the language to help translate it for you. That's really my whole thing. And I was kind of excited to see how Batman was going to come to terms with the loss of Jason through this story with Rui and his whole thing going on, because that was like an outlet for Batman to kind of deal with the loss of Jason and to help move forward, because it was still relatively recent for him, and for him to have to deal with the Joker and his BS. That is something that I was intrigued with, because any story that tries to take the death of Jason Todd in a direction to explore Batman's character in terms of his guilt and grief over the loss of his second son, essentially, is always welcome and can instantly be a classic read for Batman in terms of his characterization and how other people view the character. And that's kind of something I was looking forward to, and unfortunately am unable to read because DC just did not translate the final volume apparently. But yeah, that's really all I gotta say about Batman and Justice League. It was a fun manga, great art style, gets the characters pretty close and accurately. It does a good job with exploring the Batman post Jason Todd's death by using the story to kind of emphasize that a bit more. The MC Rui is okay, the secondary MC for the series is okay, but the story behind him and his family and the mystery is enjoyable enough. And overall, the art style I really do kind of enjoy, even though Superman's head and a little bit of Batman at the beginning took some getting used to, but everyone else kind of fit the mold for the series, and I would read it again. But let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Have you read this before? Have you read the Saint Seiya manga that the mangaka has illustrated beforehand? Are you planning on reading this now, or are you now just glad that this exists, but are kind of disappointed that it was never finished, or at least translated for the finale? Let me know in your comment section down below what you feel about everything, as well as what other like DC manga or just or even Marvel or comic books that were adapted into manga or anime that you would like me to talk about in the future, because I know it's not the first time DC's done it, and there are some moments where Marvel specifically did it for some anime and manga. So let me know in the comments what you would like me to talk about in the future in this regard. And what's more, if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. The next manga-centric video on a DC character, I'm going to read the Batman Justice Buster one, just to let you know in advance. That's what I really want to read, because that was illustrated by the guy that did the Ultraman manga, apparently, and that art style looks sick as hell, so I want to read that, and then I'll make a video on that eventually. But that's all from me today. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and have an awesome day.